Burger Boys is a food truck game about flavor, not labor. So if you've ever been to a cocktail bar where the bartender's like, "What's your vibe? I'll make you a drink," and they come up with a cocktail especially just for you, it's like that, but for burgers. So instead of there being any like preset recipes or any choppy or anything like that, it's free-form flavor design. You get to be the ideas guy and think of all the burgers without having to do any of the hard work of making them yourself. You play as Patty, who has accidentally acquired a burger truck in a world that thinks burgers are decidedly mid. So the odds are stacked against you a little bit, but you've got your right-hand man, Fry, who's there to help you, and he believes in the good of burgers. He knows that burgers can be great, and the reason that your truck is failing is just because the guy who owned it before didn't understand the concept of flavors. And even though he was the one who came up with the idea of bespoke burgers by design, he just wasn't very good at it. So with Fry's help, the two of you are going to take your food truck from the bottom of the ratings on Yelp all the way to the top, at least, if you get everything right along the way. In the meantime, you'll be serving a bunch of different customers. We've got these generic customers with preset personality types who'll give you dynamically generated requests, as well as special customers who've got their own storylines attached to them. So some of those include Sister Buttermilk, who is a nun for the Church of the Holy Flapjack. And her whole thing is that breakfast is the holiest of meals and that burgers are a sin, and your job is to try and convince her otherwise. We've got Finn Dividend, who is some kind of business guy, financial analyst. He doesn't really make it clear what he does, but he's a fishman who's literally a fishman out of water and really thirsty, and it's your job to try and make sure that he's got the right amount of fluids so that he can synergize his way through all of his meetings. We've also got the local grocery tycoon, who is a small child who at the age of 12 has somehow managed to completely capture a monopoly over the grocery market for all the food trucks in the area. And we haven't released any character art for this character yet, but another one of my favorites is Hammerball, who's this lovely little pigman, and ooh, what's this bacon stuff? Could he try some? That sounds nice. It starts this whole little storyline that gets increasingly dark. So this is a game about flavor design. Specifically, you're choosing ingredients to meet the requests that your customers give you. So sometimes those requests will be dynamically generated, like, I want an extremely umami burger, but I'm vegan, I can't have any meat in it. Or other times it might be a little bit more vague, like, I'm thirsty. What do you mean you don't sell drinks at your burger truck? What kind of business model is that? Either way, you've got to consider the physical properties like the juiciness or the greasiness, as well as the flavor properties like umami, sweet, spicy, to be able to design a burger that will meet that customer's request. And so different ingredients will have different amounts of each of these stats applied to them. They've also got different tags applied to them as well. So the vegan tag is one really obvious example, but there are other like slightly more vague ones like breakfast ingredients. Aside from that, regardless of what your customer says that they want, you've still got to design a burger that actually tastes good. And we've tried to base the flavor design system off of real world understandings around what makes like a well-balanced burger. So you can have a burger that's super umami, but you've got to make sure that there's some acidity in there as well to be able to cut through that umaminess. Otherwise you kind of just end up with this like wall of meat and nothing else. It was my brother Alex's idea. He's our co-founder and our game designer and narrative designer. He's a big foodie, and I really don't like cooking. I cook because I have to, not because I want to. And so he was really keen to think of like, how could we make a cooking game that would get people interested in cooking that don't already like cooking. And so we landed on this idea of creative design and in flavors. He enjoys watching a whole lot of like YouTube channels that talk about these sorts of things, and I think that plus Burger Wellington, which is an event here in New Zealand, both kind of got the ideas sparking for him. So we first had the idea back in 2019, and since then it's kind of just been simmering in the back of our brains, and we've been working on it on and off on weekends and that sort of thing, but it wasn't until April of this year where we received a Code New Zealand Kickstart grant to build a prototype for the project that we finally kind of got things properly in motion. So it's been about 6 months of working on the game now. We've just finished the core gameplay loop, which is the actual burger design bit, and we're starting to work on other features like reputation management and stock management and that kind of thing. Because all of the flavors are based off of like the real world understandings of ingredients, we wanted to add in a feature too where people can export the recipe for the burgers that they've designed. So if the game says that the burger tastes like this much umami and that much salty, you could actually try it and see. Maybe it does taste that much in real life, maybe it doesn't. Hopefully it does. But we thought it would be a really fun thing to throw in the mix to help people literally play with their food in real life as well, which circles right back to Alex's concept of the game of getting people who might not be interested in cooking to start experimenting with cooking a bit more. I really enjoy watching people play it. Like I've played it too many times now, which doesn't help me, but watching other people play it, people get into these little narratives of like, oh no, this guy seems like an asshole, I'm not giving him what he wants, or oh, you want pickles, I'll give you pickles. And a lot of like what I like to describe as fucking around and finding out, like making choices that maybe aren't necessarily the right choices, but in a game with no one right answer like this, who knows, maybe they are the right choices. Sometimes you can be pleasantly surprised, and then other times you're like, yeah, no, I absolutely deserved that and I loved every moment of it. Definitely taking the game to PAX Australia and getting to see people try it out for the first time and laughing at the dialogue and loving the characters and the music and that kind of thing. Like it's one thing for us to love what we've done with that sort of stuff, but it's really validating to see that like, oh good, it's not just our personal taste. So we're working towards releasing a Steam demo midway through next year. The demo that we took to PAX Australia was a fun demo, but it's just the core game loop, and it was kind of like a single day in the life of Burger Service. We want people to be able, once we have the Steam demo up, to be able to play it for as long as they like. So they need to be able to do multiple days with being able to restock ingredients and unlock new ones and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's definitely the next kind of big milestone that we're heading for. That it's been an absolute pleasure working on it, and we're really loving to get to see people's reactions. We'd love to have everybody wishlist the game on Steam and follow it as well, so they get notified when the demo comes out next year. A thank you shout out as well to New Zealand Code for all of the support they've given us, because that's been massive. I don't think we could have done the game without them.
What's your go-to caffeinated beverage when working on the game?
I don't know if they have it in Australia, but V does like these like V Refresh, the little yellow lemonade cans. Those are like if I'm having a sleepy day, that's what keeps me awake.